Welcome back to the channel Official History of Coins. Today, we're taking a closer look at three fascinating USA Washington quarter dollar coins from 1965, 1977, and 1986. Some of these coins can become highly desirable to collectors when rare varieties, minting errors, or exceptional condition come into play. First up, this video is about one coin only, the 1965 USA Washington quarter, a 25-cent coin that represents an important turning point in American coinage. The 1965 quarter is especially interesting because it was the first regular Washington quarter year produced after the United States moved away from the traditional 90% silver composition used through 1964. The story begins in the middle of the 1960s, when the United States was dealing with major changes in the availability and cost of silver. On July 23, 1965, President Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Coinage Act of 1965. This legislation changed the composition of circulating quarters and dimes and helped bring the era of regular silver quarters to an end. The 1965 Washington quarter was therefore created for a very important reason. The United States needed a practical replacement for the silver coins that had become increasingly difficult to keep in circulation. The new quarter used a copper-nickel outer layer bonded to a pure copper center, creating the familiar clad appearance that became standard for American quarters. This coin weighs approximately 5.67 grams and measures about 24.3 millimeters across. Its outer layers are made from an alloy containing 75% copper and 25% nickel, surrounding the copper core. That composition is one of the easiest ways to distinguish the 1965 quarter from the silver Washington quarters of earlier years. Another fascinating detail is the missing mint mark. A normal 1965 Washington quarter does not have a P, D, or S mint mark. During this period, the mint temporarily suspended mint marks as part of an effort to discourage people from saving coins from particular facilities and to help keep the new coins circulating. But here is where the story becomes much more interesting for collectors. Although the regular 1965 quarter has no mint mark, production was not limited to one physical mint facility. Philadelphia and Denver were heavily involved in production, while the San Francisco assay office also produced special 1965 quarters for the special mint set. The regular 1965 issue had an enormous production figure of approximately 1,819,717,540 pieces. That huge number tells us that the date itself is historically important, but the real collecting opportunity comes from finding an exceptional example, a scarce variety, a special strike, or a coin with extraordinary preservation. Collectors should pay close attention to the condition of their 1965 quarter. A heavily circulated coin can show scratches, contact marks, worn details, and dull surfaces, while a high-grade example can retain impressive original luster and sharp design details. The difference in condition can dramatically change collector interest and price. The obverse features George Washington, while the reverse carries the familiar American eagle design. The quarter was designed by John Flanagan, whose Washington portrait had already become one of the most recognizable designs in American coinage. So why can a 1965 quarter become valuable? The answer is not simply the year. Collectors examine grade, surface quality, strike, luster, varieties, errors, and special production characteristics. A spectacular coin from a common date can sometimes attract far more attention than an ordinary example of the same date. One particularly exciting area is the 1965 double-die varieties. PCGS lists multiple recognized varieties, including two double-die obverse varieties and a double-die reverse variety. These varieties are exactly the kind of details that can transform a normal-looking quarter into a much more interesting collector coin. There is already strong evidence of what exceptional examples can bring. A 1965 Washington quarter in MS-67 was recorded by PCGS at a heritage auction sale for $705 in January 2015. That demonstrates how dramatically the price can rise when the coin reaches a very high certified grade. The recognized 1965 double-die varieties can become even more exciting. For example, a PCGS recorded 1965 Washington Quarter DDO FS 102 graded MS65 sold for $1,650 at Great Collections in August 2014. A rare variety combined with excellent condition can therefore push the value far beyond that of a typical example. The special mint set coins are another fascinating part of the 1965 story. Approximately 2.36 million 1965 quarters were produced for special mint sets, and these pieces can have different surfaces and sharper characteristics compared with ordinary circulation strikes. A 1965 SMS quarter has also reached a recorded auction price of $5,175. And now we come to the biggest number associated with the regular 1965 Washington Quarter. PCGS records an auction result of $12,650 for a 1965 quarter, sold by Stax in January 2005. That is the highest auction record listed by PCGS for the regular 1965 issue. That $12,650 figure is extremely important for our discussion because it shows the maximum documented auction level for this particular regular issue. However, it does not mean every 1965 quarter can be sold for $12,650. The spectacular result belongs to an exceptional coin, and grade, appearance, certification, rarity, and buyer demand all matter. For someone searching through an old collection, the most exciting approach is to examine the coin carefully rather than judging it only by its date. Look at Washington's portrait, the lettering, the date, the reverse design, the surfaces, and especially any unusual doubling or striking characteristics. Do not clean the coin if you believe you have found something special. Cleaning can permanently damage the original surfaces and may reduce collector interest. Instead, preserve the coin exactly as you found it and consider having a potentially important example examined by a professional grading or authentication service. The 1965 quarter is also historically valuable because it captures a major transition in United States monetary history. It stands at the beginning of the copper-nickel-clad quarter era, immediately after the traditional silver quarter period. That makes it an important date for collectors who want to understand how American coinage changed during the 1960s. So if you have a 1965 Washington quarter sitting in an old box, jar, drawer, album, or family collection, do not overlook it. The date alone is not the entire story. The real excitement comes from discovering exceptional condition, a recognized variety, a special strike, or another characteristic that collectors are willing to pay a premium for. Remember, this video covers one coin, the 1965 USA Washington Quarter. Its documented auction history reaches as high as $12,650 for an exceptional regular example, while special varieties and special mint set pieces can also command significant premiums. And that is what makes the 1965 Washington Quarter such an exciting coin to search for. It may look like a simple 25-cent piece, but behind that small piece of metal is a story about the end of America's regular silver quarter era, the birth of clad coinage, and the beginning of a new chapter in U.S. mint history. So before spending or trading away an old 1965 quarter, take another look. Check the condition, study the details, and remember that exceptional examples can attract serious collector attention. Your next discovery could be hiding in a collection that has been sitting untouched for decades. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoy discovering valuable American coins, rare varieties, historical coinage, and fascinating treasures hiding in everyday collections, make sure to stay with the channel. You never know when the next old coin you find could turn out to be the one everyone wants to see. Next coin, the 1977 Washington Quarter. You have one or you know someone who does, and the question on everyone's mind is simple. Is this coin valuable? The answer is a resounding yes, but it's not a simple yes. It's a yes that could mean the difference between 25 cents and over $9,000. Today, we are going to uncover the incredible hidden potential of this coin, and I'm going to show you exactly why you need to hold on to it. Let's start with its history, because understanding where this coin comes from is the first step to understanding its worth. The year is 1977. The United States had just finished its massive bicentennial celebrations in 1976. For 2 years, the quarter had a special reverse design featuring a colonial drummer. But in 1977, the mint returned to the classic design. It was a return to tradition, a homecoming for the iconic Washington quarter. This coin features the portrait of George Washington on the obverse, designed by John Flanagan. He based his work on a bust sculpted by G. Nant in Howdon. On the reverse, you have the majestic heraldic eagle standing on a bundle of arrows with an olive branch beneath. It's a timeless piece of American history that was placed right into the pockets of millions. Now let's talk about the mintage numbers. In 1977, the Philadelphia Mint produced a staggering 468,556,000 of these quarters. That's almost 500 million coins. The Denver Mint produced another 256 million, and the San Francisco Mint produced over 3 million proof coins for collectors. With numbers like that, you might think they are all worth just 25 cents. But here is where it gets exciting. Just because a lot of something was made doesn't mean every single one is the same. The value of your 1977 quarter depends entirely on 2 things: its condition and any unique errors it might have. Let's talk about condition first, because this is where you can turn pocket change into real cash. If your 1977 quarter has been sitting in a cash register or jingling in your pocket, it's considered circulated. According to the NGC price guide, a circulated 1977 quarter is worth between 30 cents and 85 cents. That's a small premium over face value, but we are aiming much higher. The real money is in uncirculated or mint state coins. These are coins that have never been used in everyday transactions. They have their original mint luster and no wear and tear. Even in lower uncirculated grades like MS60 to MS63, your quarter can be worth $1 to $5. But when we get into the higher grades, the value starts to skyrocket. For a Philadelphia 1977 quarter with no mint mark, a choice uncirculated grade of MS65 to MS66 can bring in $10 to $45. A superb gem in MS67 or higher, now we are talking $150 to over $1,200. The PCGS price guide even values some of these pristine specimens at up to a massive $10,000. That is the power of preservation. Now let's look at the Denver Mint version, the 1977 D quarter. These are just as valuable. In MS65 condition, a 1977 D quarter is valued around $10 to $25. If it grades MS67 or higher, these coins become significantly rarer, with auction prices reaching upwards of $400. In fact, one 1977 D quarter, graded MS67 Plus, sold for $459 in 2023. But we are just getting started. This is where the 1977 quarter transforms from a collectible into a treasure. I'm talking about error coins. These are the anomalies, the mistakes made at the mint that create one-of-a-kind pieces. And the 1977 quarter has some of the most spectacular errors you can find. The most famous and valuable error is the 1977 D quarter struck on a 40% silver planchet. You see, in 1976, the mint was striking bicentennial quarters on 40% silver planchets. Somehow, in 1977, a few of these silver planchets got mixed in with the regular copper-nickel planchets at the Denver Mint. The result is a 1977 D quarter that is silver, not copper-nickel. The edge of the coin will lack the usual reddish band you see on regular quarters. This transitional error is regarded as one of the most significant American numismatic rarities of the 1970s. Only 3 of these 1977 D silver-clad quarters are thought to exist. Can you imagine holding one of 3? One of these incredible coins realized $12,000 when it crossed the auction block. Some sources even value these silver planchet errors at over $9,000. This is the kind of coin that turns a simple quarter into a life-changing find. But the errors don't stop there. What if you have a double die error? This happens when the design is impressed onto the coin twice, slightly misaligned, creating a noticeable doubling of the letters or numbers. A double die error on a 1977 quarter can be worth hundreds to thousands of dollars. What about an off-center strike? This is when the coin is not perfectly aligned with the dies when it is struck. The design is shifted to one side. These dramatic errors are highly sought after by collectors. Minor examples can sell for $50 to $150, while more dramatic off-center strikes command even higher premiums. There are even stories of a 1977 D quarter struck on silver planchet, selling for $9,000+ and a 1983 quarter overstruck on amusement token that sold for $15,862. These are the kinds of treasures hiding in plain sight. And this is exactly why you must check every single 1977 quarter you come across. Let's talk about the San Francisco 1977 S-proof quarters. These were specially made for collectors, with a mirror-like background and a frosted design. A standard 1977 S-proof quarter can be worth $1 to $38. But if you have a deep cameo, DCAM proof, where the contrast between the frosted and mirrored surfaces is exceptionally strong, the value can go up to $575. So what is the absolute maximum value for a 1977 quarter? The PCGS price guide lists values up to $10,000 for a perfect specimen. Some sources mention values as high as $9,200, but for the truly rare era coins, like the 1977 D silver planchet, we are looking at $12,000. These are the peak prices, the holy grails of this coin. Now the question you've all been waiting for: can this coin be valuable in the future? The answer is a resounding and confident yes. The value of high-grade and era coins has been steadily increasing. As more people become collectors, the demand for these pristine and unique pieces only grows. The supply, however, is fixed. There will never be any more 1977 quarters made. High-grade coins graded MS-67 and above are already considered scarce. As time goes on, these coins will become even harder to find in such pristine condition. This scarcity, combined with increasing demand, is a textbook recipe for future value appreciation. The coins that are valuable today are very likely to be more valuable tomorrow. Think about the 1977 D silver planchet era. With only 3 known to exist, the value is already astronomical. As the numismatic community grows and more people learn about this incredible era, the competition for these 3 coins will only intensify, driving the price even higher. This is not just a coin, it is a piece of history, a mistake that created a legend. Even if you don't have a silver planchet era or a perfect MS-67 grade, your coin still has potential. A quarter in MS-65 condition or a coin with a minor but interesting era is a solid investment. These are the coins that form the backbone of a great collection, and their value is far more stable and promising than the 25 cents in your pocket. This is why I am telling you with absolute certainty that your 1977 quarter is valuable. It might not be worth thousands of dollars today, but it has the potential to be. The key is to look closely. Check the back of Washington's head for a mint mark. Examine the coin's surface for any unusual wear or luster. Look for doubling in the letters. Check the edge for a silver band. You could be holding a coin worth $459. You could be holding a coin worth $12,000. You could be holding a coin worth over $9,200. The only way to know is to look. The only way to lose is to ignore it. The 1977 Washington quarter is more than just a coin. It is a story of American history, a return to tradition, and a testament to the artistry of John Flanagan. It is a coin that has been in the hands of millions, yet holds secrets that only a few will discover. This is your chance to be one of those few. Don't spend this quarter. Don't trade it for a soda or a pack of gum. Hold on to it. Put it in a safe place. Get it graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. Knowing its exact grade is the only way to unlock its true value. The cost of grading is a small price to pay for the potential return. The coin collecting community is vibrant and passionate. They are looking for exactly what you might have. The market for 1977 quarters is active, with sales happening every day. There is a buyer out there for your coin, and they are willing to pay a premium for quality. This is the moment to take action. Go through your change jar, check your old coin collections, ask your family and friends. You are looking for a 1977 quarter, but what you might find is a treasure. The potential is real, the history is rich, and the value is waiting to be claimed. The maximum value your 1977 quarter can reach is limited only by the condition it is in and the rarity of its errors. With top grades reaching $10,000 and legendary errors hitting $12,000, the ceiling is incredibly high. And as the years pass, that ceiling will only rise. So to answer the question directly, yes, the 1977 USA $quarter Liberty coin is valuable. It is valuable now, and it has the potential to be even more valuable in the future. The journey from a 25-cent piece to a $1,000 treasure starts with a single look. Look at your coin, and then watch its value soar. Second coin, the 1986p USA Washington $quarter, is a fascinating piece of American coinage, carrying the famous portrait of George Washington and the Philadelphia mint mark, P. For collectors, this quarter becomes especially interesting when it appears in exceptional condition, with strong details, attractive surfaces, or a recognized mint era. The 1986p quarter was produced at the Philadelphia Mint in 1986, during an important period in the history of the Washington Quarter series. The Washington Quarter design had already been circulating for decades, and by the 1980s, the United States Mint was producing enormous quantities of clad quarters for everyday commerce. The P mint mark is one of the first things collectors should look for. It identifies the coin as having been struck at the Philadelphia Mint. The 1986 P issue had a reported mintage of 551,199,333 pieces, making it a major production issue of its year. That enormous production number does not mean every surviving example is equally desirable. Coin collectors pay close attention to condition, because a quarter that has spent years circulating can develop scratches, contact marks, worn high points, and dull surfaces, while an exceptionally preserved example can stand out dramatically. The 1986 P Washington quarter measures approximately 24.3 millimeters across and weighs about 5.67 grams. Its composition is a copper-nickel-clad structure, with the standard composition listed as 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel. The coin continues the famous Washington quarter design created by John Flanagan. On the obverse, George Washington faces left, while the reverse features the American eagle surrounded by inscriptions representing the United States of America and the $quarter denomination. The reason this coin was made was straightforward but historically important. The United States needed huge quantities of quarters for everyday transactions. Quarters were, and remain, one of the most heavily used denominations in American commerce, so millions of them had to be produced every year. The 1986 P issue is also part of a fascinating chapter in American monetary history, because the United States had already moved away from the traditional silver composition used in earlier Washington quarters. Modern Washington quarters of this era were produced in copper-nickel-clad composition, making the 1986 P very different from the famous silver quarters of the mid-20th century. Now comes the question collectors are always interested in. What can a 1986 P quarter be worth today? Current collector references list the 1986 P Washington quarter at about $15 or more in uncirculated MS plus condition, while ordinary examples can trade much closer to their face value depending on condition and the marketplace. The real excitement begins when you discover an unusually high-grade example. A sharply struck coin with brilliant surfaces, minimal contact marks, excellent luster, and strong eye appeal can attract considerably more attention from collectors than a worn example pulled from circulation. This is why collectors should never judge a 1986p quarter only by its date. Two coins with exactly the same date and mint mark can have dramatically different collector appeal because condition, strike quality, surface preservation, tunning, and rarity can change the market value. Another important factor is mint errors. If your 1986p quarter shows a genuine and significant minting error, the story can become much more interesting. Collectors actively search for unusual errors because they can turn an ordinary-looking denomination into a specialized collectible. Possible features worth examining include unusual doubling, off-center strikes, striking abnormalities, clipped planchets, or other genuine mint production errors. However, collectors should be careful because many apparent errors are simply damage that happened after the coin left the mint. The number of people who want to buy a particular 1986p quarter depends heavily on what makes that specific coin special. Millions of examples were produced, but collectors seeking top-grade specimens or unusual varieties can create stronger demand for the right coin. In the collector market, condition is one of the most powerful factors. A coin that still looks fresh and sharply detailed after approximately 4 decades can be far more interesting than one that has been heavily circulated. Professional grading can also make a difference. When a potentially exceptional coin is authenticated and graded by a respected third-party grading service, buyers can evaluate its condition with greater confidence. A high certified grade can make an impressive 1986p quarter much more desirable. The current published valuation information is especially useful because it shows why the condition of this coin matters. USA Coin Book currently lists an estimated value of $15 or more for an uncirculated MS plus 1986p example, with the exact market price depending on the individual coin and its grade. So if you have a 1986p quarter in your collection, do not rush to spend it. First, examine the date, confirm the P mint mark, inspect Washington's portrait, study the lettering, and carefully look across both sides of the coin under good lighting. Pay particular attention to the surfaces. Look for unusual marks, doubling, strange shapes around the lettering, abnormal edges, and anything that appears different from a normal 1986p quarter. A genuine mint-made characteristic can be much more important than ordinary wear. The best examples are the ones that make a collector stop and look twice. A normal circulated quarter may have little premium, but an exceptional uncirculated specimen, a remarkable error, or a professionally certified high-grade coin can create a completely different collecting story. It is also important to understand that the biggest prices reported for rare Washington quarters generally involve extraordinary grades, rare errors, or unusual varieties. A normal 1986p quarter should not automatically be described as a multi-million-dollar coin. The value has to come from something genuinely special about that particular specimen. For that reason, the maximum potential price of your individual 1986p quarter cannot be determined from the date alone. A spectacular high-grade or authenticated major example could command a substantial premium, but the coin would need exceptional characteristics to reach the upper levels of the collector market. The exciting part is that you may already have one sitting in an old collection, coin jar, drawer, or inherited collection without realizing that its condition or unusual features could make it more interesting to collectors. The 1986p Washington quarter is therefore a great coin to inspect, especially for people who enjoy searching ordinary American change for unusual pieces. Its history, Philadelphia origin, classic Washington design, and potential for high-grade collecting make it a memorable part of modern U.S. quarter collecting. Remember the key details. 1986 is the year. P identifies Philadelphia. The coin is a copper-nickel-clad Washington quarter, and more than 551 million were produced at Philadelphia. So before you overlook that 1986p quarter, give it a closer examination. Check the condition, search for genuine mint errors, compare it with certified examples, and consider professional authentication if the coin appears exceptional. For collectors, the thrill is not simply finding an old quarter. The real excitement comes from discovering something unusual that other collectors also recognize as desirable. Your 1986p Washington quarter could be an excellent addition to a collection, and an exceptional specimen may be worth significantly more than its original 25-cent denomination. Keep searching, keep learning, and never underestimate the coins hiding in everyday collections. The next interesting Washington quarter could already be in your hands.